Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of the Bully the Board NFL board meeting. It's Kevin and Steve. We're down a man today, but the show goes on nonetheless. We got a lot of efficiency stuff to break down for you, game predictions, pass funnels. We're going to talk about all that. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today, not today.
All right. Week 9 NFL is in the books. Crazy. Officially more than halfway through the season now. I don't know. Makes you, I don't know. The older you get, like the weirder time flies by, the faster it does. Like, it's such a trip sometimes, especially doing this stuff in season, like, doing the grind, doing these shows every week. It's fun, man. But like 9 weeks, like where the hell has the time gone? So wild times for sure, but NFL, baby. We got a lot to talk about here today. So, Steve, I don't know what because I know you were kind of busy this past weekend. How much action you got to catch or whatnot, but a couple of interesting takes or developments that came out of this that I want to hear your side of it on. Number one, and perhaps in my book at least, the number one story coming out of this weekend was the fact that CJ Stroud is possibly a top 10 quarterback in the league as a rookie. I mean, he balled out. How crazy was that?
I am sick to my stomach, and here's why. I've been talking about CJ Stroud all year. I've been pointing him out, giving him his props. And in my fantasy league, I went to go claim him earlier in the week, right? So I was in Mexico this entire week for a beautiful wedding, and I went to go claim him earlier. And it's like, oh, he's on waivers. I'll wait till Wednesday, get him off waivers, blah, 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 right? I picked up Heineke as a backup. See, he's starting for the Falcons. Figured that'd be good enough. I'll pick up CJ Stroud. I'll put him in my starting lineup. We'll be good to go. We talk about pass funnels. We talk about how good he's doing, this and that. I forgot to do it. I boarded the plane, forgot to do it. Again, it was for a wedding. It was a 4-day long ceremony type thing. I was drunk the entire time. I woke up on Sunday, late morning in a cold sweat because I realized I didn't pick up Stroud. And what did he do? 41 fantasy points. And if I had picked him on my team, I would have won this. I would have won this week. I lost by 10 points.
Yeah. That is like one of the top 10 worst feelings as far as like NFL betting and fantasy season goes, like to forget to do that type of shit. Yeah. I mean,
I was sick.
Put up on, godly numbers, broke all kinds of rookie records, like on top of the mountain, right? By a lot of rookie metrics and records at this point. So yeah, shout out CJ Stroud. I mean, also a heartbreak for us in terms of like futures projections, right? We have the Texans under win total, and I know Seth at least has the over Bucks win total. So that was kind of a double whammy as far as that goes. But yeah, shout out CJ Stroud. And then one thing that's interesting, like, I don't know. I honestly feel bad for the Giants. Daniel Jones, torn ACL, Tyrod Taylor, rib issue. He might be on IR. I don't know if that's official yet or not, but he's going to be sidelined, right? You see where they are here on the overall EPA per play, and like firmly in the quadrant of woe, just for all across the board offense, right? They're going to be starting Tommy DeVito, who undrafted rookie, Matt Barkley as the backup coming in like that. They got to be in the running for the number one pick now, don't you think?
I mean, it's scary. I mean, we saw what happened. What Raiders whooped them 30-6, but then DeVito played. I think he ended the game the week before, right? Because he wouldn't throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. Now, some of that is calling, right? Some of that's intentional with screens and whatnot. But you can't call 3 screens in a row in overtime. And they had like one hot pass that he threw like 4 yards short of the line of the game. Like this is going to be bad. This is going to be, for me, an auto fade team. An auto fade. This is a dumpster fire.
It's bad. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I honestly feel bad. And it's unfortunately because of injuries, not necessarily like they weren't world beaters or anything before that. But yeah, no one's winning in this league with your third and fourth string quarterback. It's just kind of the reality of it. Right. Elsewhere, a couple of AFC takeaways. So Chiefs and the Dolphins, that game was in Germany. That was, I don't know, didn't really live up to the hype. A lot of these international games don't live up to the hype, but That was interesting. Again, we saw what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks. The Chiefs defense showed up and showed out against the number one overall offense in the Dolphins.
I actually have a different take. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. I don't disagree with any of that. My takeaway from that game, though, is I'm
Yeah,
officially concerned for the Dolphins. Eagles, Chiefs, and who was the other team?
Bills.
Bills. Thank you. Yes, they do not beat the good teams. They don't do it. And I don't know how far this team can actually go in the postseason. I think they'll be good enough to get into the postseason, but this to me
Oh yeah.
has writing of a first round exit team written all over it. And we have AFC East tickets, we have Dolphin Super Bowl tickets, and I felt really good in the beginning of the year. And I'm trying not to overreact because, like you said, it is a weird thing being international. The time changes when new teams get there. How does it affect their play? But this is 3 games now the Dolphins have not shown up against good talent.
100%. Yeah. One of those weird quirks about it, right? Like everything on paper screams like, yeah, this team should do well or should cover, etc. But then, yeah, no, they struggle against a good team. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Pretty concerning. I mean, mostly just from the standpoint of our futures tickets. I wanna be able to cash out for some good ROI on that later in the season. So that's
Yeah.
really all I'm thinking about, frankly. But yeah, it's weird situation there. On the flip side, you could like the Bengals, they're tucked right in behind the Packers here, center of the graph. Someone looking at this, be like, what? The Bengals are mid as fuck, right? Like, how is that possible? Somewhat misleading, right? Because first 3 or 4 games of the season, whatever it was, Joe Burrow was injured. The raw EPA metrics don't know that or understand that, not picking that up. But we have slowly seen that team transition from the left side of the graph to the right side of the graph pretty rapidly. Joe Burrow's back. That team looks scary and dangerous, right? They just beat the Bills. So a lot of Bengals on the up and up, baby. Another year in and year out. I don't understand how they do it. Like it's different scenarios every single year, right? They kind of like shit the bed first half of the season or just don't do well for other reasons like injury, and they just turn it on, baby. So watch out for the Bengals, man. That's a scary team.
Yeah, and I'm looking right now trying to figure out. Yeah, so Bengals Super Bowl odds are plus 1,200. This is a team where you wanna buy now. I'm telling you, buy now. The Bengals are back, and let's like you said, they started off slow, and now it's severe. That was solely due to injury. That is not the case anymore. This team is legitimate, and I don't know what more you want or what are you waiting for. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying to go nuclear on this by any means, but at plus 270 for the Bengals to win the North, I'm gonna put some money down on that. The Bengals look good.
To win the North, so that's the division NFC or AFC North, right?
Right. So pretty much it's gonna be between them and the Ravens, right? And so,
Yeah,
right
between them and
now
the
you look
Ravens.
at yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
look at right now.
Ravens. So looking at the unabated odds screen, future simulator as well. Shout out to unabated, but Baltimore Ravens odds on favor. You can get them at minus 145 or minus 130 are the shortest odds. Yeah, Bengals you can get plus 320. That's the longest
Which
odds that
book?
I see. FanDuel plus
Oh,
320.
even better. Even here's the thing: the Bengals are fourth, they're last place in the division, but they have 3 losses. Ravens are
Yeah,
7-2. Like this is one of
right.
those things where like, oh, they're last place, last place. No, this is if you were ever going to bet on a last place team to turn around mid-season and win the division,
Mm-hmm.
this is the team you want to do it. The Steelers are
Minus,
not
yeah,
great. They're going to be roughly a 500 team. The Browns, I'm sold. I'm sold on the Browns. That it's a waste of a great defense.
yeah.
Deshaun Watson, it's not going to get that team where they want to go. They're stuck with PJ Walker. It's not a good situation. So it's really going to come down to can the Bengals outplay the Ravens by a game the rest of the way?
Sure, sure.
And I think they can. For plus 270, I think they can.
Plus 320.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, even better.
right.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So you're telling me, I don't try to do the math on the fly here, but what that's roughly you're telling me there's a 25% chance the Bengals will win the North, right? And I'm telling you, yeah, I'll take those odds.
Yeah. Okay. No, I hear that. I like that angle. So yeah. If you pull the trigger on it, I might tail your take, Steve. I might tail you, baby. Let's do it. Okay, NFC. Switching gears for a sec here. Let's go. Let's work our way up. So bottom of the barrel first here. As the resident Bears fan, they play the Panthers this Thursday night. The toilet shit bowl, right? Who are you actually rooting for this game? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
So and this is why it's so frustrating being a Bears fan, right? So who am I rooting for? I'm rooting for the Bears. And if you guys don't know, the reason Kevin's asking for that is so the Bears obviously suck, and we're going to try to get the number one pick, but we have Carolina's number one pick too. So so someone's going to win, right, but lose because they lose their draft standing, and vice versa. But Arizona is fucking around and trying to get the number one pick too. they're one win over the Cowboys. And so with the Bears already having 2 wins, it's in our best interest to win this game to keep Carolina at 1 win and make it more competitive with Arizona. Here's why I'm frustrated. Why isn't Fields starting? Fields still, has this, this thumb injury going on, and he was practicing, he was limited, but now he's doubtful. So they're going to put, Tyson Bagent back in. I don't know, man. The Bears organization is a dumpster fire. I said earlier a couple weeks ago, go back and watch the tape. I said, someone asked me, do I feel good about this because of how bad we were and how bad Carolina was? And I told you we would find a way to screw it up. This is step 1. We're going to screw it up by losing to Carolina, and then we're going to continue to blow this thing down the season.
Oh, God bless it. And I what a conundrum for you as a Bears fan. I empathize. I honestly do. But let's not sulk. Let's focus on the negative per se. Let's work our way up a little bit here. So it's still bad from a future standpoint for us, but just kind of I got to give credit where credit is due. The Minnesota Vikings. All right, they've been they've been super mid for basically 18 months, a year and a half, a season and a half, basically, right? We've been short them for that same amount of time as well. This team, we talked about the positive variance that they experienced last year relative to what their record was. Like they punched up in many different categories. This year, relative expectation that a lot of that variance was going to come back down to earth. We were short them under 8.5 wins, right? Yeah. Well, it seems at this point, 9 weeks in the season, perhaps we overestimated how much that variance was going to swing back. I don't know how this team keeps winning games. Okay, Josh Dobbs shows up midweek, basically gets in 30 minutes of practice and is like drawing plays on the back of a napkin or the back of the football game day. And he's like, all right, boys, let's go do it. Leads them to a win over the Falcons. Like, it's wild, man. I don't know what to make of this team.
Yeah, so I have 2 quick thoughts on that. First one is, the Vikings, we talked about they're 11-0 last year in 1-score games. They were incredibly skewed on the positive variance. And then they started, I forgot, was it 0-5, something like that, in 1-score game, losing those games, right? So they violently swung to the other end. You figure they kind of swing back to the middle at some point. To me, this is just a division of ineptitude is what the North is, right? You have the Lions, who are actually pretty decent, right? The Lions are legit. You see them firmly planted in the quadrant of elite there. And you see the Vikings there as well. But the Vikings, for me, are going to be a team that, they're going to be competitive only because the Bears and Packers suck. My second thought is, do not believe the Dobbs hype. All right. And I think this sets up perfectly. I want to give a shout out to Seth because he's the one who's always talked about this, pass funnels. So, Kevin, you mentioned earlier, if you go one slide over to thank you. So where are the Falcons at? The Falcons are down here in the bottom right-hand corner. What does that mean? That means that they are really, really good at stopping the run on defense, but they are really bad at stopping the pass on defense. What does that make? That makes a pass funnel. That means teams can't run well against these teams. So to compensate for that, they're throwing short passes, screens, slants, etc. They're moving the ball via the air. And that's what Dobbs did, and that's why the Vikings won that game. Do not buy the hype. Yep. Josh Dobbs is who you think he is. He had 158 yards that game. He has been a below average EPA per play quarterback all year long, and he's going to come violently crashing down to earth this week against the Saints. You heard it here first. Look at Dobbs there. You see the median line, the median vertical line there, that's EPA per play. That's average in the league. Where's Dobbs at? On the left side of that means he's behind. He's below average. That will
Yep.
be who Dobbs is going to be this weekend. Auto fade Dobbs. And so so I'd say over 0.5 interceptions, under completions, under yards. Fade Dobbs, collect your money.
Yeah, that's that usually the pass funnel take, or the idea with the pass funnel is to identify those teams who are good against the run, bad against the pass, and then take the overs for the opposing team's quarterbacks, receivers, etc. And that's exactly what we did last week with Stroud against the Bucks, because you see they're in a very similar situation. But this is a different spin or different angle on that effectively. So yeah, keep an eye on that. But on the same sense too, sticking with the Falcons as one more potential pass funnel idea, the Falcons play the Cardinals this week. Cardinals are getting back Kyler Murray this week. I'm a Cardinals fan, so I'm listening to like local scuttlebutt and hearing what guys are saying, whatever, and who he's connecting with and practice, blah blah blah. So I'm trying to hit like the pass funnel angle, but also the information arbitrage angle. So trying to account for information that the market is not accounting for or baking into the line, right? So props aren't up yet, but one thing I'm going to be taking a very hard and close look at are maybe not so much Kyler Murray's stats, because I think that's a little more variable, how they're going to ease him into the offense, etc. But I'm definitely going to look at some of the receivers, particularly the tight ends and their reception totals and possible yards over as well. So another potential pass funnel angle to keep an eye on for everybody there. Okay, one other bit real quick about the NFC, and then we can move on here. So NFC is a strange conference to me this year. So Niners were on bye and they struggled, heading into that, losing 3 out of 4, whatever it was, right? Eagles and Cowboys played this past weekend. Eagles won, handle business. I want to get your 2 cents on this, because the Eagles are obviously the top dogs in the conference right now, but am I weird or wrong? Like, why do I not feel that this is the Eagles conference to run away with? They don't scream, or it's not evident to me that they're as dominant as their record indicates. What am I missing?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you get in there. I think
okay, because you're like I mean, you're right. Like you look at this like offensively, like firmly quadrant of elite, right? Like elite
right.
rushing the ball, elite passing the ball. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that maybe it's the defensive side. They're basically median right now, but take that into context too. They've played some good competition. Again, they played the Dolphins, number 1 overall in the league, right, in terms of EPA. Cowboys as well, who are also in the quadrant of elite in terms of offensive production. So their defense has been quote unquote median, but it's been against really good competition in some respects too. So I don't know, but I can't like get my mental model to align with what the data is saying. It's weird.
Yeah, for me, it's you take away the one sort of fluke loss against the Jets. That's their only loss. They're 8-1, right? And so what more can they be doing right now? Versus you have some very serious concerns with San Francisco. Like, yes, Debo's hurt. Yes, CMC went down for a little bit. You had some questions with injuries all riddled throughout the offensive side of the ball. But Brock Purdy has fallen down the earth. He went from God mode to peasant, and seemingly overnight, right? And now that the loss against the Browns, you can say he got him down the field. The kicker missed the field goal. That's what on him. But that was against a Deshaun Watson-less Browns, a team.
Sure.
Yeah, the defense is good, but if you're Brock Purdy, you're a quarterback, you need to eat that game.
Yeah, and the one thing to that point, the one thing that we're seeing with Purdy is he's still, on an overall per play basis, he's still the most efficient quarterback in the league. But where he has regressed some, if you will, is on the volatility scale. So how consistent play to play is he? He's tricking up on this list, so meaning he's becoming a little more volatile play to play, and that's just not what we've been, I guess, accustomed to seeing from him.
Yeah, and I look at that and I say, that's your contender. And people will say, all right, well, maybe the Cowboys, but No, and we've seen the Eagles handle the Cowboys. So really, it's going to come down to the Lions, right? Are the Lions your next biggest contender if you're Philadelphia? And if so, I feel pretty damn good if I'm Philly. Now, I will say, San Francisco, it is their right to lose, right? I do think of all the teams, record be damned, they truly are the next best team from top to bottom, right? But statistically wise, Lions have the better record. We'll see. But what I do want to switch gears real quick, and if I've answered your question about the Eagles, I'm on the Eagle train.
That's fair. I'm not even sure you could say something to like make my alignments, on par. Yeah, no, but fair enough.
Now listen, I would be remiss. As you guys know, Seth's not here today. He couldn't make it. He sends his well wishes and regards. But in honor of Seth, we cannot sit here and talk about the NFC and talk about the NFC West and talk about quarterback play and not talk about the fade god, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz being signed to the LA Rams.
Yes.
Boy, oh boy, I couldn't get to the book fast enough. I love to hate Carson Wentz. I'm sure he's a great guy. Just love the bet against him. And
which was so
do it.
It's so funny. Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about potential, like, is there value on the Rams to, win the division, or like, is there value on some of their futures, right? And lo and behold, here we are. Now they're effectively in almost auto fade mode, somewhat facetiously with with Carson Wentz on board. So that's when things are really bad in LA. Yeah. That's when you're bringing off a guy like he hasn't even been on anyone's practice squad, has he?
No, I think they was just sitting on the couch eating Cheetos.
Yeah, man. Oof. Shout out. I mean, hey, good for him getting another shot. But yeah, the fade god, Carson Wentz, is back. If he gets playtime this week, actually, it wouldn't surprise me considering Josh Jobs got playtime with day of practice. So who knows?
Baker caught a flight last year and got there 2 hours before the game started.
That's true. Sean McVay, he's like, all right, yeah, he could roll him out. So so I heard some scuttlebutt, and people were talking on lives a couple of times this week too. That maybe similar to like a Shanahan-esque type of setup, that McVay could be a short-term, I won't say solution, but that he might mesh well with McVay, and he might be able to draw something out of Wentz that others have not. So I'll believe it when I see it, Steve. I'll believe it when I see it. But if there's, he's one of the guys. There's a very, very short list of guys who I would trust to bring something out of Wentz, and frankly, he's on that list.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. I think for me, just we kind of go, we do the around the horn, all the conferences. I'm just kind of looking at this real quick, and for me, the most competitive from top to bottom, or at least interest, going to be is NFC South, and competitive is not the right word. The word I'm looking for is up for grabs, right?
Yeah,
between the Bucks, Saints, and Falcons, really one game separates them. But I still think for all of San Fran's issues, Seahawks definitely can be there, and they're going to be in the conversation. But I do think it's still going to be San Francisco's division to lose. So we'll see how that works out. But I am excited. The Will Levis era is officially on the South. Jacksonville has looked good, but not unbeatable. They've obviously lost twice. But are the Titans going to be a sneaky good team back half of the season?
Maybe, yeah. That's a potential very fascinating division for the next couple of years, right? Like very young quarterbacks, very good quarterbacks by all accounts, or at least have a lot of potential, right? But yeah, to the NFC South point, real quick. I mean, I think competitive is the fair term, but that division is basically like the JV division of the NFL right now. Like it's competitive on the JV level, right? Like I don't know what's going on there, but none of those teams are great, but it's competitive. Yeah, I feel you on that. All right. Yeah. Other than we talked about Purdy a little bit. We talked about Stroud. Poking our heads into the quarterback play and volatility scale here a little bit. One of the things that I don't really know what to make of it per se, but you've seen the Packers struggle mightily these past few weeks. Like another one that's like kind of aching my heart a little bit. Like I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I didn't think they were going to struggle this much And don't give me that look as a Bears fan. Don't give me that look.
Yeah, aching
But
your heart. I love this shit.
I know you do. I know. But the one thing that's been like I can't wrap my head around a little bit. I mean, Jordan Love has not been the core, maybe the only reason for some of their struggles, right? He is a by all accounts an average. I want to give him too much credit. He's basically an average quarterback, which should be enough. That's a relatively talented roster. I'm surprised they're struggling so much. So to see Jordan Love play how he's playing, but see this team still struggle mightily. I don't know what the word is, but I want to place the blame on Jordan Love, but I can't, frankly.
Yeah, I think the word you're looking for is wonderful, phenomenal. What dreams are made of, something along those lines, right?
I guess so, man. I
Yeah,
guess
no,
so.
no,
Yeah,
but in all seriousness, yeah, it's one of those things where, and this is why Aaron Rodgers left. This is an organization, quite frankly, that was saved from its own mismanagement by the Favres, by the Rodgers for the last few years. And you take that magic away, and what are you left with? You just ran with a shittily ran organization, a la Chicago, right? And so you see Jordan Love, not play, from a play-by-play statistic standpoint, like he's really not playing bad enough to be losing all these games. It's just the Packers team in general. It's just not putting all these phases together. When the offense is there, the defense isn't. When the defense is there, the offense isn't. So they can't click. They can't jive. So I don't know. We'll see.
I hear you. I hear you, man. All right, that's fair. But speaking of clicking on all cylinders or clicking on all phases, baby. Another good overall weekend for the model. Officially 2-1. Steelers were a play, but that had presumed or assumed that Trubisky was going to start on the Thursday night game because Pickett started. It became a no play for us, so that's why that one's no red check mark or X there. So 2-1 officially. We had the Chiefs. We were on them -2.5, and the Saints minus. Do we get? It was what? Were we on 5.5? I forget where we were on. But anyway, they covered.
Yeah, and I'll say, Seth got that one like on Monday night or
That's
Sunday
right.
night.
Yeah,
Sunday night. Yeah. Because that moves.
Seth was the one who got it. But yeah, most definitely at closing that was not available. So and then Patriots, we had them minus 2.5, but they once again just shit the bed, outright lose to the Commanders. I didn't get to watch much of that game, so I'm not entirely sure what happened, but yeah. I'm not surprised they didn't cover. Frankly, they're a shit organization at the moment. Bill Belichick might get fired. That's what that I'm sure you're hearing that too. Like I would be shocked if he gets fired mid-season. But yeah, things are bad in New England. Like it's not a pretty situation. So that might be another team where if the model spits out value on them on the season going forward, I would have to I would want to consult further on that one because I don't know. I don't know what this team is going to do, but nonetheless, overall, from the model perspective, again, 2-1. So overall, we're sitting at 23-11. I think it's technically 23-12-1 now at this point. So very, very positive win rate. Excuse me, hovering around 60%. So really, really doing great. I mean, there's no other way to say it. So heading into Week 10, though, we got a lot of good value. We got a lot of good value coming up again here. Didn't talk about Zach Wilson or the Jets per se. I want to get your take or 2 cents on this, Steve, because we are on the Jets somewhat unfortunately or reluctantly. We're on them. That there's value on them, so we're taking them, we're playing them. But Zach Wilson, that's another guy who, I don't know if you saw this soundbite or heard it, where someone asked Saleh about benching Zach Wilson or why he couldn't do it. And he was like, that's a good question. I don't have a good answer for you, basically, was his response. So weird. Like Zach Wilson is not playing well. He is firmly, like, he is pretty squarely a bad quarterback, like far less efficient than average and consistently bad play to play. So they're not benching him. They're sticking with him. Aaron Rodgers teased he was going to be back in a few weeks on the hot mic, but then kind of shot that down after the fact. So I don't know what to think, what's going on there. So this one with the Jets, we got them. Our number says it's -4. Opener was at 1.5. We got them at -1.5. I think there's still. I think that's where the market still is at now. I don't think has moved. Yeah, actually, it's a pick 'em or -1, really across the board. But against the Raiders, nonetheless. I don't know. What's your take on that one, Steve?
Yeah, well, I mean, to answer your question, the reason he doesn't have a good answer to bench Zach Wilson is who the fuck is Tim Boyle? I mean, like, I mean that's
Yeah,
probably why. Are
yeah,
we sure
fair.
he's really that much better? But no, in all seriousness, this is one of the teams where I don't know, but the Jets are, yes, everything you just said is true. Zach Wilson is unbelievably inefficient. He's not a good quarterback, and more importantly, he is who we think. Like he's not going to have like a miraculous overnight change. Like what we see is who he is. With that being
Yeah,
said, they're 4-4. They're 4-4.
right.
So how they're doing it, somehow they're doing it. And really, the defense has been doing its fair share, and offense has been just good enough to get some sort of points on the board. Now, if you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said I absolutely love this bet. I have no fear in my heart whatsoever the Jets are going to cover. But against the Raiders specifically, with Josh McDaniels and all of that
Right.
whole dumpster fire. But with McDaniels gone, this team looks rejuvenated. I mean, yes, it was a very, very bad Giants team. So let's not get too crazy here. But the team looks like they actually have some hope. You got I think it was Pierce on the new coach on the sidelines.
Yep.
Bringing practice squad players on the sideline for the games. Really being a player's coach, and that's dangerous because the Raiders are they're still alive, right? I mean, they're 4-5. They're 3 games back in the AFC West, so they're not dead. It's unlikely, but they're not dead.
Yeah.
So this is a team that could have something to play for, could be rejuvenated. And so, yeah, this game does scare me. I'm not gonna lie, it does scare me.
Yeah, I hear you. Next one up is Ravens. This one opened at 5.5. Our number puts it at 7. We got them at -5. I think the market has pushed that to 6s now across the board. So some decent CLV there at the moment. Hasn't crossed the key number yet. But nonetheless, we got them at -5. They're playing the Browns.
Browns.
And you talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, the Browns are, it doesn't matter what metric you want to use, they are by far and away the most dominant defense in the league. So this is going to be an interesting challenge for Lamar Jackson and co to handle it. But unless Deshaun Watson decides to pull some kind of Houdini and figure out how to play quarterback again all of a sudden against an also very good Ravens defense, seems highly unlikely. So this one feels just as good as the Jets one feels bad to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, this is a one possession game that we're talking about, and even better, it's under 6 points. We talk about 7 being a key number, but 6 is equally as important. In the off chance of the push, overtime, miss PAT, go for 2, for instance, and then fail, that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, I love this. I love this bet, and it's not so much that I love the Ravens, which I do. But I am not a believer in the Browns, and it's just such a shame to waste all that talent because you're right, they are so damn dominant on the defensive side of the ball, but they're almost as equally as submissive on the offensive side. Like they just Deshaun Watson cannot get this team going. Now, obviously, a lot of the stats has to be because of PJ Walker, right? Watson didn't play a lot of games. Obviously, losing Chubb hurts, right? But the fact of the matter is, team that suits up on Sunday is not going to be able to move the ball effectively against this Ravens defense. And I trust a potent Ravens offense to move the ball against a dominant Browns defense more than I trust a weak Browns offense to move it against a pretty good Ravens defense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, this one, but we've been on both sides of this equation many times throughout the couple of years, right? You feel good about something one way, and then it just bites in the ass, and you think one stinks to high heaven, and then it ends up being a no sweat. So who knows? Who knows what this one will fall, but nonetheless, feel good about it. Next one, Bengals. Our number puts this at -9. Opener was at -7. There's a little bit of battle going on. It was moved to 8 at one point, but now it's down to 6.5. So I locked it in. I got it at 6.5. That pushes the EV over 4% at that point. So Hopefully, if you're a board member, you got that as well. I think you can get 6.5s now in the market. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, 6.5s at a couple of retail books, FanDuel and DraftKings right now. So would be a play there still. Yeah, this is another fascinating one. They're playing the Houston Texans, right? And obviously, we talked about how crazy Stroud and co performed this past weekend. But if Jamar Chase is out, which it sounds like he might be for some injury reasons this game, don't feel as great about it. But I like the tried and true sort of team and quarterback in this spot, Joe Burrow, more so than the up and comer. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we just talked about how there's value here for the Bengals to win the North, and the Burrow's back. Burrow's back, baby. Triple B's, right? Yeah, and for me, this is listen. I love what Stroud's doing. It's a feel good story. I respect the hell out of this man. He's taking the Texans to new heights. I think far more than what they expected out of year one. But this is a reality. This is the NFL, right? What Stroud did last week was amazing, and I give him all the kudos. But he's not beating this Bengals team. Let's call a spade a spade. So you get that 6.5. That's a really important number to get here. But trust Bengals, trust Burrow, trust that team. They are just every bit as good as you think they are based off their last 3 weeks of play on the field. So yeah, I actually love this bet. It's probably my second favorite bet on the card.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good. Yeah. And again, we talked about it briefly. Like you just measure the Bengals on paper right now and they don't pop. But again, that's largely in part due to Burrow being injured for a large chunk of the early part of the season. So yeah, I don't this one's relatively feels sweat free again, but I probably will eat crow. I'm with you. I don't think the Texans beat the Bengals, but maybe a backdoor, man. Maybe a backdoor might play. But to your point, 6.5 is key. I feel I'll live with it. I'll run to the bank with it, baby. Every day that ends in Y. All right, these next couple have caveats to them. So the Seahawks, not officially a play. We need to get that number down to 5.5. It would be 4% EV at that point. 5.5 is not currently available in the market, so that is not a play I have taken yet. I don't know, Steve, if you have, or I don't think Seth has either. I've been keeping my eye to the streets, to the unabated odds screen on it pretty much all week. Has not crossed that threshold yet, so that one is not a play until you can get 5.5. And similar with the Broncos, market's at 7.5 now. We would need to get an 8.5, I believe, for that to be 4%. And then the Jaguars need to cross that key number of 3.5 would be the number for us. That would be a play on the Jaguars, but on our watch list nonetheless. So none of those have been gettable as far as I'm concerned, as much as I've been paying attention. But if those games cross any of those numbers, we will likely lock them in.
Yeah, and I will say, the Seahawks, that's actually my favorite bet on this card. And I know it's not the EV bet yet, but I've already taken 6. And if we can get 5.5, I'll double dip. And here's why. I think this is the art and the science of it, right? The model doesn't know that Washington's rebuilding right now. The model doesn't know that Washington just traded away Chase Claypool and Montez Sweat and is really trying to load up for next year and beyond. Meaning that they're going to run into a pretty hot Seahawks team, and it's going to be a buzz off. You don't have that defensive line pressure to contain Geno Smith. He is going to run and throw all over the field, and it's going to be a problem for Washington. I love this bet, even though it's not technically our EV threshold.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, or to talk it out a little further, like you're right, our model doesn't know that or can't account for that, but the market does. The market can, and that's why we regress to it in part, right? And this opened at this hasn't moved off the 6, so I don't. If it does move, I don't see it moving in the favor of Seattle. I think it's going to move. I think it's going to move the other way. You're going to see +6.5, +7, maybe even +7.5. I wouldn't be surprised. So I don't know. This one, if I would be shocked if we're able to get a 5.5, frankly. So if you got the 6, more power to you. I hope they cover. I hope you're right. Frankly, I hope you're right, but it's a stay away from me until that point.
Yeah.
And then the Broncos, man, I don't know. Is this like Buffalo has their issues, right? Buffalo has their issues. I
Yeah,
mean, they're I
they're
think
banged up
they're in
defensively.
some they're banged up defensively. Some books have them plus money, plus 100 to make the playoffs now, which is kind of wild, kind of bizarre, but so they have their issues, but tell me the Broncos don't. Like, I don't know, you tell me they're not 7.5 points better than the Broncos still, even like seems very hard to believe. So I wouldn't be surprised if this gets bought up a little bit and moves to the 8.5 at closing. But at that point, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm going to take it. The market would, be much more efficient than our model can account for at that point. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
I
lastly,
hope that God this does not make a bet for us. I hope to God we are not
you
forced.
just
It's a big sign either way.
uh,
If I'm being honest with you, I mean, because to
uh,
your point, who?
fair.
Yes, Buffalo's banged up defensively. With Milano and Co going down like that, that was tough. And the Broncos have been an absolute dumpster fire. Now, yes, they beat the Chiefs, and that was a great win for the first time in ever how long. But I'm not buying that this is a good Broncos team. The problem though is I don't know what to make of Buffalo, right? I mean, like if Buffalo can
Yeah.
lose to the Patriots, who technically, not even, I mean, technically in every aspect you want to look at, they're a worse offense than Denver is, right? And so if they can put up points against Buffalo and beat them. Yeah, I think I think Denver absolutely could beat the Bills outright. I also think the Bills should beat them by 21. So I don't know what to think in this game. I really want no part of it
Uh,
whatsoever.
Yeah, that's maybe more fair. That's maybe a good characterization of it. Yeah, I don't. The probability of outcomes here seems very high. Like it could go one way or the other pretty quickly. So yeah, I think I'll probably end up staying away from this. However the market ends up. So, and again, Jags, we talked about it. Need 3.5 to get it. They're playing the Niners. Yeah, I don't know the angle for this one on me. If you look back at Shanahan's record against the spread after a bye, it's pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure it's him. After a bye. So both teams are coming off a bye though. So that's another like wrinkle to that angle. Like how good is he against the bye after the bye against a team that's also coming off a bye?
Mhm.
Um so that I don't know, but this one, like we talked, you mentioned it earlier, like the Jags are a damn good team, and the um Niners have struggled recently. So how are they healthy now? And if they are, like, are they back to their form?
Mhm.
So if we could even get into 3.5, I would, I don't know. I would not feel great about this one, frankly. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait. But as of right now, it has not moved past that 3. I don't foresee a battle coming at the 3. I think it'll close at 3 as well, but who knows? And then Panthers Thursday night football. Luckily, we don't have a play in the toilet shit bowl. Because the model assumed that Tyson Badgett was going to start, so there would be value at 4 with him starting. Or no, did I get that wrong, Steve? Since
I think
Fields,
it's Fields starting.
if Fields started, yeah, thank you for correcting me. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if Fields started, there would be value at +4. So we were watching his practice habits throughout the week. He got ruled out already. So with Tyson starting now, this is a no play officially. So no value
Thank God.
even at the 4. Yeah. You really, yeah. I mean, that stinks to high hell or high heaven, right?
I legitimately think I'm not even gonna watch this game. And I'm a Bears fan. I think I'm gonna turn on because you know what happens. I get home every night, and for every Thursday night, Friday, or Thursday night game, I turn the TV on. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
what channel is the game on? Fuck Amazon Prime. So I gotta go out, open the Amazon app, and then at that point, I'm already disgruntled. I'm already
Uh,
mad, right? And then I gotta sit down and watch this game. On top of that, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bet the under, and I'm just gonna watch like college basketball.
dude, yeah. That's when you know things are bad. Yeah, yeah. That's first week of college basketball over your favorite NFL team. Yeah, shout out, man. Shout out. God bless you. God bless you for being a Bears fan. So, all right, yeah, that'll do it. So, officially 3 plays for us. Again, I'll just run through them one more time for clarity's sake, because a couple of these don't meet our criteria yet. But we are on New York Jets -1.5, Cincinnati -6.5, and Baltimore -5. The rest can potentially be had if they cross a couple of key numbers. But until then, we will just sit and wait patiently and let the market come to us, hopefully. So, all right, Steve, we talked about it also as well. So other than a potential pass funnel play with, hitting some of the unders for Josh Dobbs and the Vikings and maybe some potential overs for the Cardinals playing the Falcons, anything else you got your eye on? Any other games or plays outside of the model that you're going to be looking at?
No, nothing really hops up, jumps up to me this week. I think I'll be watching just some matchup just to watch them. But, I think we're going to learn a lot this week. And this is as we get closer and closer to playoff picture sort of shaping up. I know we got some time still. And I'll be really interested to see who these teams are. And the teams I'm really looking forward to are the 49ers going to continue to slide? And will the Eagles continue to dominate? And most importantly, I think the telltale sign is going to be what happens with Miami. If Miami loses another game to a 500 or better team, that might be a very important signal to take into account moving forward. But in terms of my bets, that's pretty much all I got. I might sprinkle. I don't say I'm going to sprinkle anything in here, but I'm be curious to see what the over is in that Lions Chargers game. That to me always screams shootout between those two teams. But nothing really that I laid down money on. How about you?
Yeah. Right now, no. I mean, even though it's the largest spread of the season so far, which obviously gives you pause, being a couple of key numbers, in the past, or in the rearview mirror rather. The Dallas Cowboys -16.5 versus the Giants. I mean, they beat them 40-0 week 1. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they should be hanging 24.5, not 16. So yeah, this one, I just tell me, like, maybe not the spread, but I'll look at the team total props and probably look to hammer the Giants team total under. That's probably going to be 9.5. I don't know. I haven't seen any yet, but I would be very curious to see where.
Do you know what
do
you know what the total is now? Just for the game, the overall game total?
For the Cowboys and Giants game, the total is at 38.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it looks like it opened at 39. So hasn't moved much, but I mean,
you might be able to get, it might be 13 because think about it, if they're telling you the spread 16.5, right?
Mhm.
So if you kind of divvy that up, if the Giants score 13 points, that means they're telling you that the Cowboys should score essentially 30. Or no, I'm sorry.
20.
16, so 29.5, right?
Right.
So somewhere around there, right? So maybe 10 to 13 point range. You said it's what, 39.5 is the total?
39.5 right now, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So maybe somewhere in that 10 to 11 point range for the Giants, and then the Cowboys in that 26, 27.5 point range.
Right.
So yeah, you might be able to get an under. I think if you get under 10.5, that might be a great bet. I think for me,
Right.
when I look at those big spreads too, I like to look at what the first half spreads are, only because like those fourth quarters, right? I mean, the fourth quarters, the Cowboys are not going to be trying to score. If this game goes to script as it's supposed to go, the Cowboys are not going to try to score in the fourth quarter. They're going to be running the ball out. They're going to be up by like 35 points, whatever it may be, right? Even up by 21. So they may let the foot off the pedal and maybe a backdoor cover. But first half, they're trying to demolish a rival, right?
Yeah.
So
you can they're hanging a 9.5 on most books. You can get -10 at plus at even odds, plus 100. So that's the game I'm going to keep my eye on. Nothing official yet in terms of my plays, but that one screams like there's some value to be had there for sure. So
agreed.
We'll see. All right, Steve, it's been real. I appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're still with us, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, to our channel. It really helps us grow, really helps us continue to reach you guys, and allows us to continue to provide value in different formats to you as well. So we'll be doing this every week. We'll be back next week to break down week 10, break down more efficiency matchup landscape stuff, talk about some pass funnels, how those went, maybe some other angles that we're looking at. We're coming into weather season, baby. All the weather angles, all the weather trends are going to be popping on social media. So, I think the market has largely baked some of that stuff in already, but nonetheless, another potential angle to exploit and find value on as the season goes on. So, all right, Steve, good luck, man. It's going to be a good, fun weekend. Best of luck to everyone out there, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.